Thank you very much, Vasuji and Vaniji, for having me in this 40 plus year organization, which is run like clockwork, I'm told. 2 satsangs every week. The whole membership comes together. That's fantastic. So your father's dream must be really coming true with all of this. And how wonderful for me to have an exposure to this august audience. I'm very grateful always to my mentor, Swami Chidananda. He's my mother's best friend, so I'm not allowed to call him my Swamiji or my friend, because my mother is very possessive about his friendship. But I'm very happy that he shares always opportunities for me to talk to people who he values, because then there are like-minded people coming together. I just want to make sure that my audio is fine. Can you tell me if it's all right, somebody?
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Okay. Good. So the study circle and meditation group, I don't think I've spoken to such an erudite audience on this topic already in your way ahead in your path in meditation and study groups. When Swamiji was in Sandipani as the Acharya, I had met him there, and he had taught me wonderful things. Wonderful books, Upanishads and the Gita, of course, but also meditation in various forms. And one of the things that he did is one of the first batches of brahmacharis who passed out of the ashram, he gave them a book called Passage Meditation, which was done by this author called Eknath Easwaran. And at that time, my mother was also in that ashram studying and working on a book along with Swamiji. And at that time, that book was the Yajna Prasad, so to say, to all the brahmacharis. And I got a copy of it from my mother. And from that day, my life has just changed, because Eknath Easwaran's books are about 26, 27 books he wrote. You might be aware of him. He's an author who did a lot of writing, but more importantly, he was a Fulbright scholar who went from India to Berkeley University, and he taught meditation in the West, and he set up something called the Blue Mountain Center of Meditation in California. And so he talks about Passage Meditation and the allied disciplines, an 8-point program, which I have been following as meticulously as I could from that day onwards. And we hold a satsang every Saturday here in Chennai. Now it's become a Zoom satsang, so people from all over India pretty much are joining it. And Swamiji, whenever he comes to Chennai, also gets together and gives us a little talk, because in his lifetime, Swamiji has met Eknath Easwaran. Easwaran is no more. But Swamiji has met him, and he gives us lots of insights into his 8-point program. So thank you. I have based my talk today on those 8-point programs that I have studied. And if it's okay with you, I'll share just a small presentation, not because there's anything in it that's going to be so new for you. It's just going to be little reminders of practical things, I think. But if I show you the presentation, we can sort of read it together and interact with each other, which is always fun to do. Instead of just me talking, it'll be lovely to hear your voices also. So one or two things that I request is, if you would like to speak or read, you can please unmute yourself, or I don't know if Vasuji, you ask people to raise their hand in Google Meet, and then they can unmute and read, and I request readers. I need about 4 or 5 readers. At some point, I'll ask for volunteers.
Either way, they can unmute and ask questions one by one, or they can type in the chat box and
or they can raise their hand also.
They can raise their hand.
Wonderful. So this is a very technologically advanced team. So that's easy. Okay, good. And then I also will ask you to sometimes put some things in the chat and so on. So please humor me. Let's do this together. Thank you very much.
Ranjani ji, can you just kindly press the hide button there on the bottom strip next to stop sharing? Yeah. The slide will now be fully visible.
That's right. Thank you very much. Good. So going from mindful to mindful, 1L makes all the difference. And what is that 1L? It is living in the present. That's all. If you come completely to the present and you relax and you let go, that's all mindfulness is about. We all are meditators for years and years and years. And for us, mindfulness is a natural outcome of living a meditative life. being completely present in the here and now. But let's look at a few pictures together. So this man is walking and his mind is full, right? Do you feel like you're more like that man, or right now you're more like that little dog with its tail wagging? All that the dog can see are the 4 trees and the sun, because that's all is in front of him. He's completely there. But the man or the woman has got maybe 1/3 of the brain is full of past memories and, I don't know, regrets and things that were in the past. Maybe another 1/3 of the brain with the future, anxiety. So and so has tested positive. Who is going to be next? Where am I going to go if I need if I need oxygen? Or how am I going to go get the groceries tomorrow when I have to, in the present lockdown? All the future fears. And then 1/3 of the brain is full of to-do lists, right? I have to do this, 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 and such a long list of things to do. And so our mind is full, literally, of things of these 3 states. But if we want to become like this dog, just become aware of exactly what we're supposed to be focusing on, then there are 3 or 4 tools that I have learned over time, many from Swami Chidananda and some from Eknath Easwaran, that we can just chat about together. I'm just wondering, why are we doing this emotional strength at all now, right? Why should I go from mindful to mindful right now? Because there's no better time. When we're locked down and can't go outside, we might as well go inside, right? And there is a need for a dose of happiness chemicals in our brain. It seems after COVID, Lakshmi, please advance. After COVID, there's 20% increase in mental health issues. That's what the World Health Organization is saying. And it's saying that emotional intelligence is going to be the need of the hour as we come back to normal. So I thought I'll just share some thoughts on, can we take a dose of happiness chemicals? What does dose stand for? D is dopamine. You know that. It's a reward chemical, right? Every time you get a leg massage or you put some cream or, I don't know, whatever self-care activities, a nice warm bath with a nice smelling soap, you feel a little happy, right? That's dopamine. And if you eat a tasty dish or you celebrate little milestones with people, even in lockdown, we can celebrate with our grandchildren, our children, and it just gives you this little happiness chemical, extra burst in the brain. The O stands for oxytocin, and that, of course, we know, this mood stabilizing chemical in the brain apparently can become more if you just give someone a hug. If you compliment someone even, imagine. When is the last time we took the time to compliment someone who's living with us for the last 30, 40, 50 years? Just giving a compliment increases oxytocin in the brain. Wouldn't that be a simple and easy way for us to live? That's why we feel happy even when we play with our pet or a baby, because the oxytocin is going up in our brain. And then when we can't sleep at night and we go to a doctor, what does he give us? He gives us serotonin sleeping pills, which is naturally going to come in our brain when we meditate. And who better than you as a group? You know how the serotonin comes out in your brain and actually helps you stay happier. And if we take a walk in nature, as I can see Venkat sir, you're walking and talking. So when you walk like this in nature, I can see a nice coconut tree above your head. Then you naturally have serotonin with you, right? And then we have the endorphins, the final one. Every time we have a headache, we want a Saradon, we don't even need to go there. Apparently a really loud belly laugh and exercising absolutely lets us have endorphins in the brain. So this dose of happiness chemicals, I'm just suggesting that we'll think about, are there some of these activities we do a lot of, or is there one you want to pick to do a little bit more of? You can put that in the chat so that you get a burst of a little happiness chemical into the brain, because mindfulness increases these happiness chemicals, and these little self-care activities help us get happy. So anyone wants to put in chat 1 or 2 things that you think, I'm not doing enough of this, I need to do a little bit more of this? Let me see if the chat comes up with anything. Okay, anyone? You want to pick anything that you want to do? Gardening. Nice, Rama.
Walking is my favorite.
Great. Walking helps you get your dose of happiness chemical, absolutely.
I get a lot of high when I'm with my little 5-year-old grandson and I tell him a story and he's laughing around with me.
That's nice, Malti. Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, laughter. Do you want to do more of laughter? I didn't used to laugh enough before, before I realized how important laughter was. I didn't used to smile enough. So then slowly I had to look in the mirror and just move the two muscles sideways to say, hey, can you make a sweeter face than this? Because you look stern when you don't smile.
I think I smile a lot. Vasu and Vani will vouch for that.
That's great. So reading, books and music, which category? I think that's self-care, Vishwanath Kaushik ji. It's self-care activities. It's doing those things that give you joy just for yourself. So that's why you feel happy, self-care activities. Great. Singing, absolutely, Rama. And you're doing that for yourself. You're singing like no one can hear you. That's even better. So thank you. Yes, just to put it in perspective, that science and spirituality are always been connected. So let's look at the tools that I was just going to share some with you in our discussion. Go ahead, Lakshmi. So you as a group of study group and meditation circle already do two of these things, right? You already study a lot of spiritual texts and absorb the knowledge, and you do meditation, right? These are two really good tools. To the study of the books, I also add a little element of gratitude journaling, because gratitude journaling is a fantastic way of increasing mindfulness. There's something therapeutic about actually taking pen and paper and writing down the gratitude in it every day. I do this. This is my gratitude journal. And I write on it 3 things that I'm grateful for. So if every day we could take the time to write 3 things that happened to us today that we're grateful for, suddenly the cup doesn't look half empty. It begins to look half full, right? When we start focusing on that. And tomorrow we have to write another 3 different things that we're grateful for. So the mindfulness technique is look for 3 new things to be grateful every day. Usually when I tell people that, they're like, sure, I can do gratitude, but I can't think of 3 new things every day. You'll be surprised. We can think of so much more than 3 things. So can I ask you all to put into chat right now, those of you who care to interact, please write, what are you grateful for today that's happened today? Not generally, but something that's happened today that you're very grateful for. Please put it into chat. We'll keep 10 seconds of silence till you do that. Well, I certainly am grateful that my Wi-Fi is working and that I can actually have this conversation. So this morning I was having trouble with my Wi-Fi. Oh, okay, you're happy for the rain today, Rama. Good. You had some good food. Yes, absolutely. Grateful for the meal you got today. Absolutely. What else? You can put a couple more.
I feel full of life today, and I'm grateful for that. Seeing the suffering going around everywhere. At least today, I'm feeling really good.
Yeah.
And I'm feeling nice. And yeah, I'm enjoying myself listening to you.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Malti. And Nirmala is extremely grateful to Vani and Vasu for arranging this talk every week. Wow, that's fantastic. And you're safe, right, Vasu? And that itself, oh, your brain is working. Yeah, we can't take that for granted. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. And work was less pressured. Okay, that's good. That's good. And one more day of peace. Absolutely. Vibhaji, listening to Ranjani. Thank you, Vibhaji. Hari Om. She's my friend from Swamiji's other retreats that I attend. And keeping us active. Absolutely. So much to be grateful, right? So imagine if you had to write it every day, 3 of them. Sometimes I write 3 things, and then sometimes I've actually had one not so great thing happen that day. That's also okay. You can put that into your gratitude journal, and you can write what was the lesson you took away from that one thing that wasn't so great today. For instance, my mother-in-law wanted to buy some groceries, and there was no way that we could go out today with the lockdown that has just begun in Chennai starting today. And they were hitting people who come on the road who with a bike or a car. So she must have been disappointed that she didn't get some grocery. But the lesson is, better planning. She herself told me, I have to plan better. So you can even write in your gratitude journal, I'm glad I got a lesson to plan my day better. So I'll leave it to you to think about these two things. You're already doing all of this. But let me share 3 more tools in addition, which Eknath Easwaran calls the 8-point program. So the third tool, in addition to study and gratitude and to meditation, is slowing down. So slowing down doesn't mean slothfulness. It means just slowing down the pace of your thinking. It means starting the day a little bit earlier, getting to things a little bit earlier so that you can actually enjoy life. Like today's session over here, right at 6:30, there were 20 people. But within 2 minutes, there were 40 people. That means everybody got here on time. That was fantastic. Because you understand people and situations better, they say, when you slow down. Because you can actually absorb their body language. Maybe somebody's speaking to you at home, or something's going on. If you've slowed down, then you can understand and absorb it better. And because of that, you can make wiser decisions. That's what has happened in my life. I ran a business where I had to work with people like Jeff Bezos of Amazon or Facebook CEOs or Ford people, and they were all from multicultural places. 400 companies I'd worked with, and there were 78 different nationalities. But only because I had a little bit of this practice of slowing down, I never used to take offense to things they say about India, but I was able to try to explain the business culture of our country in a way that made business sense to them. And so it's been a great tool. Let's go to the next slide, because the activity that I would love for you to try, though, if anytime you have the time, take a moment to stop what you're doing and just start doing it again a bit slower. Let's say we're talking, okay? We just start talking with a little bit slower momentum. And you realize that you're actually doing an amazing job of communicating better. So I'll leave you to try that activity on your own when you have the time. And the next one is, the fourth point is one-pointed attention. And that's what Swamiji and all the Sanskrit scriptures in our country call ekagrata, right? Ekagrata is such an important tool for living without our mind full, but coming into mindfulness. Because, I mean, the story that Easwaran says is, if you're listening to someone, just listen to him completely. He needs your attention. Listen with your eyes, ears, mind, and heart. How do you listen with your eyes? Look at the person who's speaking. When do we look? Half the time we're all doing yes, 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 and our youngsters are also doing this, right? But if we look at the person who's speaking, it's very, very affirming to that speaker. And if you can also put your mind behind it, it really does make you understand the other person's viewpoint, especially when they are not saying something that you agree with, right? And if your heart is there, of course, the wonderful quality of empathy gets released. So we become better listeners when we are one-pointed, but that's what we're all doing with meditation anyway, right? We're practicing to become one-pointed. We're bringing our mind back again and again. We're training our attention to come back to become one-pointed. Easwaran talks about one-pointedness being very important because it will help you to put the other person first. If you want to watch channel A and your spouse wants to watch channel B, and if you're in a rush, you're not even paying attention to what her need is. But if you become one-pointed, then you can become a better spouse, have a better relationship, and put the other person's need first. And I always love this saying, I think it's by Meher Baba, right? That a fast mind is sick, a slow mind is wise, but a still mind is divine. So I appreciate you doing this. Now I want you to read and I want to listen. Let's try some absorbed reading so that we look into how do we apply some of these principles. This is a favorite book of mine called Strength in the Storm by Eknath Easwaran. And if I can get one volunteer to read a paragraph while the others can look at it, then we can discuss it and then go to the next one. Maybe try that, please. Who would like to read first?
May I read?
Go ahead, Malti.
Yeah. The repetition of a power word, that's a mantra, brings an angry mind back under control so that we can be more patient, more constructive. If we were to ask the Buddha why we lose control at times of anger, he would point out the mind never was really in our control in the first place. The very nature of the mind is to be fickle, distractible, constantly in motion. In a word, to do whatever it likes.
Does any phrase resonate with you, Malti?
Yes, I think my mind wanders a lot most of the times.
It is the nature of the mind to be distractible and
Yeah,
constantly.
but I've learned to sometimes focus more nowadays. But still, there's something, that little monkey inside me plays around a bit.
Yes. Okay. So who wants to read the next few lines? The mind can't bear not having its way. Who wants to read?
Okay. Could someone volunteer for this, please? Padmini, would you like to read?
Yeah. It can't bear not having its way. It can't bear to be contradicted, so gets angry and lashes out with hurtful words. Most of us would be unaware of the underlying message. You aren't worth my respect. My ideas are superior. You don't count.
Oops. Do you agree? Is that what we're trying to say, Padmini?
That's not what we are trying to say. It's the very opposite.
But it comes across apparently because we don't want to say it like that. That's not our intention. You're absolutely right. But because we lose control at times of anger, it just looks like you don't count. Oh my God, that's not what I meant. And then we say, I didn't want to say it, but it just came out, right? How many times that happens to us? So patience under provocation seems to be the mantra that we have to take forward. Let's try the next reading. Can we have another volunteer? Thank you, Padmini and Malti. So what do you do? Who wants to read? Yes, go ahead, Venkat. Sir.
Okay. Anyone would like to read this? Dr. Jyoti?
You read it. Yeah, okay. Sure, go ahead, Nirmala.
Somebody's reading?
Yeah, Nirmala ji, please go ahead.
Nirmala ji, read. Read, please.
To break the cycle, we have to reverse. Sorry, it's running.
It's correct. Please read. You're absolutely right.
To break the cycle, we have to reverse the process and learn to be patient under provocation. That's why the Buddha tells us to put up with hard words like an elephant shrugging off arrows. He's telling us how to live in freedom instead of simply reacting to what others say and do. I continue.
Please continue. Please continue.
Shrug off the daily darts and arrows that life sends. He's telling us, but never shoot arrows at others. In other words, he's saying we should be prepared for a certain amount of impoliteness and discourtesy in personal relationships. Not because people are bad, but because they can't control their minds, just like us.
What do you think, Nirmala ji? Any phrase that applies to you, or you have an example?
I practice Mauna on Mondays from morning 6 to evening 6 from 1991 June because I have a problem. I have, uh, I don't have control over my speech or my food uh, uh, greediness.
So what we put in the mouth and what we put out of the mouth. That's
Yes.
always a challenge for most of us. Yeah.
So I decided to attack it. At least once a week, let me keep both of it under control.
That's great.
So, but in 2000, I got my diabetes. So I stopped keeping fast, but I keep my Mona even today.
Okay. So what you're saying is shrugging off the daily darts and arrows of what life sends, what other people tell us, is not easy to shrug off, right? We feel we'll just say back something discourteous or impolite, and that
Now,
spoils our personal relationships, right?
now
So
I'm able to control a little bit.
that's nice. That's lovely. Yeah. So some effort is needed, but that's great. To break this cycle, that's all we have to learn. We have to learn to be patient under provocation. That's great. Thank you. So let's have another reader. So if you can, rest of you can mute on, close the video and audio. It's easier for one person to read. Go ahead. Who wants to read? Go ahead. Vasuji, you can read.
Vishweshwarji, would you like to read?
They are here.
Go ahead, sir.
Okay.
Strangely,
We expect others to show courtesy to us.
Vishweshwarji, I think you're...
Vishweshwarji, you have two devices. I think you have to remove one device. Vishweshwarji, please remove one device. I think you're logged into two devices. That's causing hum. Please remove one device. Shall I remove the other one for you?
Yeah, please pass it on to someone else. Please pass it on.
Go ahead and ask someone else to read in the meantime.
Okay.
May I?
Yeah, please.
Strangely, we expect others to show courtesy to us, but we also expect them to bear with us if we happen to be a little rude now and then. Here, the Buddha asks a simple question. Why don't you remember that the other person is just like you? Like you, he doesn't like unkind words. Like you, she appreciates courtesy and respect. He is not simply reminding us that people are going to upset us. We already know that. He is saying that if we get upset, it's because we are upsetable.
Yes, Ramaji. Any comment?
How true.
Yeah. We want others to forgive us when we show some lack of courtesy, but we don't give them the same longer rope, right? So just as we are upset, their mind doesn't listen to them sometimes. This has literally helped me. Literally, when I hear or hear somebody says something to me that isn't polite, I just tell myself, hey, look, his mind or her mind is not listening to him or her. And suddenly I can see it from the other person's perspective so beautifully. It's a very nice way to start thinking like this. Let's have a last reader, please.
Can I read?
Go ahead. Vishwanath, go ahead, please.
Thank you. This is a remarkable point. Just think, you don't have to be upset in any upsetting situation. All of us have times when life doesn't bother us, and other times when one wrong word sets off like a volcano. What makes the difference? Only our state of mind, which we are learning to control. This is the benefit of practicing kindness. It may not have an immediate effect on those around us, but with practice, it becomes a shield so strong that other people's behavior will not bother us at all.
Vishwanath ji, any comment? What do you like in this reading?
No, I like the thing like we have to bring out that point like kindness. Means, we should always be kind in our words, action, and deeds. We should not have a kind of a hurting attitude.
Yeah, that's right. So this idea is also interesting, right? That sometimes when somebody says something to us, we don't get upset, but other times it just becomes a big issue for us. So it's literally our mind that is not paying attention, not listening to us. That's all it is, isn't it? So if we learn to manage our mind, then as Swamiji will tell us, that the Bhagavad Gita will tell us that a well-trained mind is my best friend and an ill-trained mind becomes my worst enemy. That's all it is, isn't it? So thank you very much, all of you, for participating in this absorbed reading and discussion. It's one of the mindfulness techniques that keeps us every day. If we read something like this, which is beneficial for living daily life, my husband and I read a couple of pages like this every night before dinner. And it helps to do it with a friend or with a family member, because then you can just have a little bit more a positive vibration in reading aloud and discussing very briefly if we can. But the final and the most important point that I wanted to share with you today is the mantram vaccine. All of us are getting vaccinated, but our ancient scriptures have told us, and you probably know this, that the Bheshajam Paramam Bheshajam is the mantram. So whatever ill we have in the body or mind, there's nothing better than the super drug called the mantra. In the Ishwaran 8-point program, I'll tell you a story. It's the monkey that you were talking about earlier, Malti. You know, the father is telling the children that these two monkeys are fighting inside me. They're also fighting inside you and inside everyone else, right? And what is it? One is the ego monkey and one is the faith monkey. The ego monkey will say, oh God, she's a pain. I don't want to talk to her. She's coming here. Let me turn and go away. And the faith monkey will say, oh, she's loving. Everybody's the same. Let's be peaceful. And both the monkeys will be fighting inside us. Which monkey wins, right? It's always the one that you feed. So if we throw peanuts, walnuts, and almonds at the peace monkey, and he's nicely fed, then no matter what happens, we will be able to have joy and calmness and just be. And that times when the monkey mind doesn't listen to us will become less and less. But if we keep feeding that other monkey, the ego monkey, the anger, the jealousy, the stress, nowadays it is anxiety, not even anger, about what's going to happen, right? The biggest fear of the pandemic is not the fear of the pandemic. It's the fear of dying because of the pandemic, isn't it? So if we allow such fears to come, then the wrong monkey wins. So can't feed it at all. Got to starve that monkey and got to feed the right monkey. So I hope that this mantram vaccine becomes part of our life even more now than before. But the important thing in the 8-point program is let's pick one mantram and keep that as our only go-to. And it's important because more than anyone, we Hindus, on Fridays, we want to pray to Devi. We want to say that on Mondays, it has to be the Shiva mantram. Saturday, no, I'll do the Hanuman mantram. Sure, we can do all of that. But if we pick one mantra and make that our own, if we sprinkle it on everybody else, mentally, virtually, you can do this now. Or if you make a beautiful artwork and fill it up with your mantram to offer it to so many COVID patients that are suffering now, or you go on a fast walk like Venkat sir is walking, the rhythm of your mantram, the rhythm of your breathing, and the rhythm of your steps all comes in unison, and it greatly helps our good health mentally and physically. And finally, of course, the most important thing is falling asleep on the mantram, because there's an arrow's entry between the last waking second and the first sleeping second. And that arrow's entry, you just hurl a mantram through it. and it stays with you throughout the night, giving you a restful sleep and good dreams. This is proven beyond reasonable doubt, thousands of years. So I just hope we start practicing this more and more. And it just makes such a difference to life, right? So anyone has any, you have your own mantra, right? It's just a phrase, 2 words or maximum 4 words, right? Om Namah Shivaya or Rama Rama Rama, Mahatma Gandhi's mantram. So I'm going to ask you now to go to the camera and just grab your mantra. Got it in your right hand, everybody? And now please sprinkle it on all the 41 people that are in this nice spiritual group. Please sprinkle it on everybody. We need each other's blessings and positivity to come out of this difficult time. How does that make you feel when you sprinkle on others?
More joyful.
Yeah. Because we love to do things for others. It's natural for us to do it, right? So there are various ways that we can use the mantra. And if you don't know which mantra to use, usually your Ishta Devata, a mantra with your Ishta Devata in it works very well. But please ask Swami Chidananda. He does a great job of guiding us on choosing a mantra. But once we've chosen a mantra, we can't keep changing it. We have to stick with it till the last breath. Only then, even if you're short like Mahatma Gandhi, the only thing that comes out of your mouth is the mantra. And it becomes an ajapa japam, right? Our goal in life is to try to become an ajapa japam state of mind, where even without realizing it, the japa just goes on and on like a tambura at the back of our mind. If we change our mantras, then it's like digging shallow little holes. We'll never go deep enough to find water. And so I hope that we can stay with one mantra. Let's just go to the final slide of quickly recapping the 5 things that Eknath Easwaran taught us. Swamiji has guided us on this so many times. Meditating on a passage, that is a silent repetition on... Vasu, can you read this? The 5 points?
Sure, I can.
Sure.
I can go ahead. Meditation on a passage, silent repetition upon memorized inspirational passages from one of the world's greatest religions. 2, study and gratitude journaling, seeing the cup as positively half full daily. 3, repetition of a mantra, silent repetition of a power word or phrase to break conditioning. 4, slowing down, set priorities to reduce stress and hurry. 5, one-pointed attention, give full concentration to whatever matter is currently at hand.
So those are the 5. Thank you, Vasu. Those are the 5 summary tools of mindfulness. And I hope that some of it you're already doing really well. But if there's one of the 5 that you'd like to do more of, put it into chat. Which one are you going to pick to do more of? Vishwanath, you've raised your hand. Go ahead. You want to do more one-pointed attention, Guruji? Guru Siddhyaji? Yeah. And Vishwanath, you want to do more one-pointed attention. So one-pointed attention is, we can't eat and watch TV. We can't go to a movie theater and eat popcorn at the same time, because neither we'll enjoy the popcorn nor are we fully watching the movie. So once you commit to one-pointed attention, everything else except food goes away from the table. Only loving company of people is allowed. No gadgets, no newspaper, reading the papers and drinking your morning coffee. That's not one-pointed, because you'll be ending up drinking the daily news instead of drinking coffee. And today's news is terrible. One of the proven records is if you watch news beyond 14 minutes, it has a negative psychological influence on our mind. So please don't watch this news beyond 10 minutes if you can help it. And Sunita, you want to do more repetition of a mantra? I do too. I think we can always find more time to repeat the mantra whenever we are doing mechanical chores, right? Waiting in a doctor's office, doing the dishes, when we are walking, when we're in the shower, right? Always more time to do more mantra. And you're doing for many years and you've not taken a vaccination. Oh, I see. Okay, Rama, that's quite inspiring. Most of us are picking the mantra. Okay, that's great. Well, all right, let's go to the last slide there. Go ahead, Lakshmi. The important thing is to pick 5 really good influencers. That's the last thing. So we've got 5 things as tools for mindfulness. Please, we also have to pick 5 daily influencers for our emotional well-being. Is there anyone around you that's negative? Are they, after you speak to them, are you coming out feeling more tired than when you went into the conversation? You have to gently but kindly avoid that conversation person, right? So I actually have an aunt who's absolutely wonderful and I love her very dearly. But in the pandemic, she has started to constantly call me to tell me how many deaths there are, how many people have tested positive in each state. And I don't want to listen to this. So now I've reduced the numbers of calls to her, or if I call her, I immediately start chanting with her so that she doesn't have a chance to influence my emotion with some of the negative numbers that she brings to the conversation. So please think about who are the 5 people that you want to spend the most time with, because this affects our consciousness and our resilience. And in an unhurtful manner, we can pick those 5, because finally we become, I think, an average of the 5 people that influence us. So thank you for your time. This is the end of my formal presentation. Thank you so much for spending time in doing this interactive reading and conversations.